rigid in your thinking? Are you resistant to change? Let's spend some time today delving into those two questions together. It's been exactly 1 week since the empty tomb, and one of Jesus's closest friends still isn't sure. Was his faith in his leader just not strong enough? Or was he maybe missing his bestie a little bit too much to think straight? I'm guessing it was a bit of both. My sweet, we have stepped into a new season. Spring is here in Connecticut. Jesus has risen from the grave, and you have made amazing growth these past several weeks and months. So let's take advantage of Jesus walking with us right now and figure it out together why you might still be a little rigid in your thinking and resistant to change. We don't have to unpack it all in one episode, but let's start. And to support you on this journey, please pick up your prayer journal and life design workbook from my Etsy boutique. You can find the link and coupon code in the show notes. Let's continue walking this beautiful path with Jesus. Do you find yourself struggling with constant anxiety, stress, or burnout? Maybe you're navigating through overwhelming waves of sadness or darkness. Has someone allowed you to believe that you're unworthy? Well then, we're here to debunk those beliefs and help you to overcome them. Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Radiance from Within podcast, guiding Christian women to build their confidence and self-worth. My name is Heidi, and I'm so excited to have you here. We'll work together to help you overcome negative beliefs by incorporating prayer, devotionals, and journaling into your daily routine. Additionally, we'll explore the power of words and how they can impact your mindset and well-being. Because when you unleash your inner peace, you will find the desire and strength to spread kindness and compassion. Join me each week and unlock your radiance from within. Discover your power and strength and embark on a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. Hello, beautiful. I want to take you back to a scene from the Gospel from John. It's the evening of that first Easter Sunday. The disciples are gathered together in a house and they've locked all the doors because they're terrified. Their world has been turned upside down. Their teacher, their leader, their friend has been crucified. And now there are whispers that the tomb is empty. And right there in that locked room, Jesus shows up. Doesn't knock. He doesn't wait for them to be ready. He just appears among them and says, "Peace to you." He shows them his hands. He shows them his side, and the disciples are awestruck. But here's the thing. One disciple wasn't there that night, Thomas. We don't know where he was. Maybe he needed to be alone. Perhaps he was grieving in his own way. But when the others find him and tell him, "Thomas, we saw the Master," he plants his feet and he says the words that I want you to really hear. "Unless I see the nail holes in his hands, put my finger in those nail holes and stick my hand in his side, I won't believe it." Unless. Thomas had decided in advance exactly what believing would require. He had drawn a line in the sand. He had a list of conditions, and until reality matched the picture in his head, he was not going to budge. Does that sound familiar? Because that right there is rigid thinking. And it doesn't just live in our faith life. It lives in our marriages, in our careers, our friendships, and in the way we talk to ourselves every day. Did you catch that? It's even how we talk to ourselves. Let me pause here to tell you what rigid thinking actually is, because I think we're doing it without even realizing it. Rigid thinking means seeing a situation from only one point of view, even when life hands you strong evidence that you might want to look at things differently. You don't. You can't, or you won't. It means you generalize. You think in absolutes. It's always this way. She never does XYZ. He should do this, or I must do it this way. And when change comes knocking, and my sweet, change is always going to knock, whether we want it to or not, you meet it with resistance. Please hear me out. I'm not trying to be too harsh, because a little bit of this archetype can actually be good. It means that you're goal-oriented, that you're driven, and you have convictions. We don't want to throw all of that away. But when it tips over into I will not budge until the world conforms to exactly what I've decided I need, well, now we're in Thomas's locked room, aren't we? And here's what I want you to sit with today. Sometimes being too rigid wears a really convincing costume. Sometimes it dresses itself up and calls itself faithfulness. I know what I believe. I know how God works. I know what the answer is supposed to look like. And trust me, I've said those words myself, and I'm not very proud of it. But my sweet, that's not always faith. Sometimes that's control wearing faith's clothes. And there is a big, big difference. Thomas thought he was being reasonable. He thought he was being smart. He wasn't trying to be the bad guy of the story. He just couldn't imagine that the right answer might come in a form he hadn't approved of in advance. Let me say that again, because that's another place we can sometimes trip up, and I'm including myself in that group as well. He hadn't approved of in advance. Yes, we're planners, but sometimes we just need to let faith lead. So how do we loosen our grip? How do we soften? How do we become the kind of soul that Jesus is talking about when he says, even better blessings are in store for those who believe without seeing? Well, I have 3 gentle practices for you. 3 small, doable things you can start this week. The first one is presence. Simple presence. We've talked a lot about this through Lent, babe, and I'm going to talk a lot about this again and again here on this podcast. And when you see me out and about doing my workshops and speaking gigs, we need to be present. Present with him, present with ourselves, and then when we wrap ourselves in that beautiful blanket of protection, guess what? We can be present to and for others, because then we don't have to worry. I'm not so great about the worry card, so I suppose I'm preaching to myself here. So let me take a page from my own book. But it's true. So much of that rigid thinking comes from living in the future. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if it doesn't go the way I planned? Or worse, living in the past, gripping onto the way things used to be. That one is for my youngest. But God is not in the future you're worried about. God certainly isn't in the past you're mourning. God is right here in this exact moment with you. So this week, let's do something together, because I'm not someone who just preaches from the pulpit without practicing what she preaches. Once a day, just for 1 minute, stop. Close your eyes. Take a breath and ask the Lord, what do you want me to notice right now? That's it. Then open your eyes and take a look around. What do you see? A butterfly? A bird? The way the light is hitting the kitchen counter? The sound of your own breathing? Or your baby cooing so softly. 1 minute, one sweet moment of noticing. Because when you train yourself to be present with God in the now, you stop demanding that He prove Himself on your timeline. Because I promise you, He has His own clock. Okay, number 2. The second practice is letting God surprise you. And this one is probably going to make you feel uncomfortable. Because if we're being honest, most of us have a pretty specific picture of how we want God to show up. We want the answer in this form, by this date, looking exactly like this. And yes, Thomas wanted to see those nails, and Jesus gave him those nail holes to touch. But He also gave him so much more. He gave him a tenderness Thomas hadn't expected. He gave him grace where Thomas probably expected a lecture. So this week, I want you to take whatever you've been white-knuckling, that situation, that relationship, that outcome, and whisper, God, surprise me. I don't have to know how. I don't have to know when. But please do it your way and surprise me. And then be sure to be open to receive and watch the beauty that quietly unfolds, because again, it's a surprise. So it may not be a grandstand you are demanding. And the third practice, my sweet, is a gift. It's gentleness with yourself. When you catch yourself being rigid and mean and disrespectful to you, because you will catch yourself. I catch myself all the time. And the temptation is to pile on. Oh, great. Now I'm being stubborn again. What is wrong with me? I'm stupid. I can't do anything right. Those are someone else's words that you have come to believe, that I have come to believe. No, no, no. We're not doing that anymore. When you notice you're gripping too tightly on those words, I want you to put your hand on your heart and say, thank you for showing me that I am a beautiful child of God. I can let go of that now. That's it. No shame, no spiral. Just notice, thank, release, and receive His beauty. Because softening is not a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Sometimes even an hourly practice. And the more gently you treat yourself in the catching, the faster you can return to the loosening. Now, let me bring us back to Thomas, because I love how this story ends. 8 days later, the disciples are gathered again in the same room. Same locked doors, but this time Thomas is with them. And once again, Jesus comes through those locked doors, stands amongst them, and says, peace to you. And then Jesus turns His full attention to Thomas. But He doesn't shame him in front of the others. He doesn't say, I heard what you said about me. He just looks at his friends and says, take your finger and examine my hands. Take your hand and stick it in my side. Don't be unbelieving. Believe. Thomas didn't have to chase Jesus down. He didn't have to earn his way back. Jesus came right through the locked door of Thomas's rigid heart and met him exactly where he was. And Thomas, in that moment, says the most beautiful words in the whole gospel. My Master, my God. That's what happens when we let Jesus into the locked room. So will you do that this week, my sweet? Will you open the door just a crack to let that light shine into your heart? Loosen your rigid grip and begin opening up to receive the beauty that you so deserve as a beloved child of God. Now, let's settle in for our prayer. Deep breath in and out. Creator God, this time with you is so precious. We have but a few weeks with you as you walk this earth. Please open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Let me receive the goodness that I so deserve as a beloved child of God. And when I grip onto the past too tightly, when I worry about tomorrow too much, please wrap your loving arms around me and whisper, "Child, it's okay. I've got you." Allow me to crumble in your lap just one last time, Lord. With your grace and mercy, I lift up these prayers with praise to worship you. Amen. My sweet, never forget that you are His. You are loved. You are seen. And there is nothing rigid in you that His gentleness cannot soften. And until we meet again, beautiful, I believe in you. Now, it's your turn. Thank you for joining me on today's podcast. But before you go, a simple request. If this podcast has made a difference in your life, please leave a review where you listen and share this episode with someone who could use a little light today. Knowing my show has impacted your life brings me so much joy. Remember to explore my Etsy boutique to discover the workbook you need most this month. And until next time, my friend, ignite inspiration, spread hope, and dance with faith.